Compendium of Watch Box at SIHH 2018 with Vacheron Constantin. You're looking at the Traditionnelle Complete Calendar. Now this is a watch that we saw prior to SIHH, but in this rose gold variant we're being introduced. Now the watch is 41 millimeters, so it's a versatile size, not quite traditional and definitely not oversized. Nevertheless, quite thin in profile, substantially less than 11 millimeters. You can see that despite the complication. Well over 300 parts to the movement, which is based on the Vacheron Constantin 40-hour Powell Reserve 2460. It has a handsome opaline-style dial, which is actually a refreshing variation from the standard sunburst. You can see it features individual apertures for the day and the month that are actually far afield of the Canon pinion, giving it a broad and balanced aesthetic with a sort of cruciform symmetry that's highly pleasant to the eye. Now you can see half-frosted Dauphine as well as applied and faceted rose gold indices give it an upscale aesthetic, as well as making it quite easy to read, which is always important for time and calendars. You can see the Poinçon de Genève, now a full watch standard. You can see it's imprinted on both the exterior of the case back and the movement itself. You can see the handsome barleycorn of the 22-karat gold winding rotor, as well as a fine and beautifully textured linear Côte de Genève on the bridges beneath, and an evenly distributed and fine perlage engine turning about the base plate. Also note that Vacheron's modern tradition is for polished screws rather than blued, and you can see them present and correct. There's a great deal of nuance to the case with a coined case back, a stepped fluted case band that actually continues from the case band to the lug feet themselves. It also features a little bit of a pinched profile when viewed longitudinally, such that the mid case is widest and then it diminishes about the conical bezel and the recessed case back. An elegant and versatile complication. This is a friendly everyday watch for everything but your diving, but then again you have an overseas for aquatic activities. This is Vacheron Constantin, the Traditionnelle Triple Calendar, for $39,700 US in rose gold. And what's better than a dual time? Well, dual times. We've got our dueling banjos, Genevois style, here at SIHH. Now these are recent debuts. We saw the dual time just prior to SIHH. I'm happy to bring you the rose gold variant for the first time. You can see the watch, handsome in 41 millimeters, rose gold or steel, charismatic in both variants. Now you can see for the first time the overseas dual time is blessed with a Vacheron in-house caliber, the 60-hour automatic 5110 DT. You'll note the beautifully engraved compass rose style 22-karat gold winding mass. Now it does feature a paramagnetic ring outboard of the movement in both versions. Why is this important? Because previously the watch featured anti-magnetism via a solid case back and a fully encompassing soft iron cage. Well, that is not necessary for anti-magnetism. It's merely necessary to shield the movement with a paramagnetic substance. Thus, they have the anti-magnetism and the 150-meter water resistance that makes these true sports watches in every sense. Now, let's take a quick look at the case back of the dual time in rose gold, because this is a refinement that debuted with the third generation overseas in 2016, and it is the quick release system. Using only your thumbnails, no need to resort to a jeweler or a tool, you can remove the strap and retrofit a bracelet or another strap, also useful for deep cleaning. The rose gold version that you see here comes with an auxiliary leather strap, whereas the steel variant, with that beautiful glossy blue dial and applied indices, is available standard with the bracelet and then the accessory leather and rubber straps. Both of these watches will be available shortly through Vacheron Constantin. Visit the Vacheron Constantin website and check out the overseas. Remember, Geneva hallmark, the epitome of refinement, and yet the toughness to go blow for blow, whether you party in the surf or the turf. Stick with the watch box for ongoing coverage of SIHH 2018. And we're talking about strap-ons. That's right, watch straps, folks. You're looking at the standard accessories to the Overseas Generation 3 in stainless steel. Blue dial steel watch, blue straps in alligator leather with large rectangular scales and a soft underlay, with an auxiliary strap in rubber. This is ideal for aquatic activities. You can see it features a handsome, almost clou de Paris or barleycorn imprint on the top. Also notice on the underside there are channels to allow the venting of heat, oil, grit that may accumulate on the wrist during periods of activity and hot weather. Just to make sure you have the full visual, this is the watch for which those accessories are provided. 41 millimeters, under 13 millimeters thick, and that may be the real headline for this complicated 150-meter water-resistant sports watch. Elegant, handsome, and as you can see, immaculately finished on the inside and out, bearing the Poinçon de Genève. It's a rough and tumble watch from a refined brand, now available with accessories. You're looking at the Traditionnelle Tourbillon. This is a watch that's been added to the collection, well, I should say the sub-collection, Excellence Platine. So it's part of the Traditionnelle line, but since 2006, Excellence Platine has represented the apex, a sort of hot-rodded, upscale Vacheron within a Vacheron collection. Now you can see the case, beautifully fluted and stepped in the fashion of the Traditionnelle watches, entirely in platinum. This is 41 millimeters, but only 10.4 millimeters thick despite the complication. Now highlights. A dial in a beautiful blasted finish made of matching platinum 950. Applied and faceted indices and half-frosted Dauphine hands in white gold. Take a look at the Maltese cross-style motif of the tourbillon carriage itself and the continuously rounded specular polish of the tourbillon bridge, mirrored in the fashion often known as poli noir or black polish. It's immaculate. It's also technically sophisticated, as there's more to this one than meets the eye. This is the first time ever that Vacheron Constantin has created an automatic winding tourbillon, and here it is. This is caliber 2160, automatic winding by peripheral rotor. It's one of the few of its kind, not just today, but in the history of high horology. Impressively, this peripheral rotor automatic boasts an 80-hour autonomy between windings, despite the power-intensive nature of the complication. We're not quite done, because Excellence Platine is a complete program for your watch. It's basically a weight program for your timepiece, bulking up with platinum-infused thread in contrast to the blue minimally bolstered alligator leather strap, and you'll note a full clasp in matching platinum 950 with a beautifully contoured underside that matches the curvature of your wrist. So this watch is a gentle giant on your forearm. Handsome, rare, meticulously finished, and technically beautiful. This is a watch to satisfy the left and the right side of your brains for this SIHH. I'm going oversized for a watch with outsized personality. Now this is part of Vacheron Constantin's Metiers d'Art series. 5 pieces known as les Aerostiers. They commemorate the first manned flights that took place in the late 18th century in France. 5 watches, 5 flights, 5 different styles, and 5 pieces will be created of each of the 5 individual balloons. Let's talk a little bit about what you get. You get a 40 millimeter white gold case with a double Gadron bezel, incredibly handsome with its compound curves and sensuous contours. You can also see there is a traditional straight lug style, so the watch has a bit of vintage allure about it, but nothing more so than the antediluvian aviation device at center, now carved from solid gold and then retroactively electroplated to create the white gold additions. It takes 3 weeks to create each balloon on each example, freehand engraved in excruciating micro-engraving technique. It's surrounded by a beautiful translucent sea of enamel that itself takes 15 hours to execute. As if my cup did not runneth over sufficiently, the watch features a beautifully textured rose gold chaptering framing the entirety. You'll even note complication in abundance, as you have both hours and minutes in scrolling fashion, and at the base you have a day and a date functionality. Turn it over, and now we're looking at a variation of Vacheron Constantin's corporate caliber 2460 automatic, beautifully blazoned with a rotor in 22 karat rose gold that is unique to the series. Now the watches are individually numbered, hand finished within and without. A total of 25 will be made, and for approximately $135,000 US. While rare, expect this collection to be oversubscribed. If you're not already in the balloon, your ride has already departed. We're looking at the flagship of the new 56 collection, inspired by the 1956 reference 6073. You can see the resemblance most clearly from a head-on profile. The watch is a versatile everyday reference that is designed to be both a potential point of entry to Vacheron Constantin ownership and your everyday watch, regardless of your collecting acumen. Now the watches are all in 40 millimeter cases, available in stainless steel as you see here, or in rose gold. Now to recommend the stainless steel is both the more accessible price point with no compromises in dial, appointment, or finish inside or out, as well as a feature that's unique to the steel watches, which is a full double folding deployant clasp. You can see the dial is richly appointed with white gold indices and numerals. It is luminescent for easy viewing in low or no light, and there's a handsome contrast between the opaline or matte style center dial and the sunburst of the outer dial. There is a sector or railroad track chapter ring separating the two different layers, and you can see outboard there is a radial date completing the triple date. Crescent style moon phase at 6 o'clock, important because this is the 122-year moon phase that is generally germane to perpetual calendars rather than the one that requires resetting roughly every 3 years seen on most watches featuring a moon phase. So an upscale moon phase for an upscale watch and a movement to match. Now you can see this is a Vacheron Constantin manufacture movement based on the 2460 family of automatic calibers, 308 parts, so though it is a simple calendar, not an annual or perpetual, it is robustly complex and you're getting an awful lot of high horology for your money. In stainless steel, a versatile timepiece bearing the mark of the Poisson de Genève on the case as well as the movement. This is Vacheron Constantin, the 56 Complete Calendar at SIHH 2018. We're looking at the entry-level watch in a new entry-level collection. This is the watch designed to democratize luxury at Vacheron. This is the 56 automatic with date. Now the watch features many proportions, details, and appointments that are common to all versions of the 56, so we may as well run through them. Now each example is available in steel or rose gold, exclusively in 40 millimeters. The design of the case, and you can see this most clearly at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1. The peaked corners reminiscent of the 1956 reference 6073. That's where you get the sharper geometries of the case. Now the fluid form is inspired by both good taste as well as an abstract of the Vacheron Constantin Maltese cross logo. The watch features a dial that Vacheron describes in some of its literature as sector style, but what I can tell you unequivocally of all the models is that they feature an opaline or matte center, a sort of railroad or sector chaptering separating the inner and the outer, and the outer just below the hour track featuring a sunburst motif radiating out from an imaginary center point. The imaginary center point creating the sunburst motif, terminating at the outer chapter ring from which the second scale is read. Now the watch features a stainless steel clasp, and that is a rule for all of the watches in the collection. If you buy rose gold, you get a pink gold Maltese cross motif pin buckle. If you buy steel, you get the full steel clasp. Finally, worth mentioning, the 40 millimeter case that is common to all is wonderfully thin in profile, and you'll note the handsome step of both the beveled case and the stepped and conical form bezel beneath a matching conical form domed sapphire. When we turn the watch over, we find perhaps the most intriguing part of the watch. Now this is Vacheron Constantin's 48-hour Powell reserve, reference 1326 automatic movement. Now, it's been speculated that the watch would not feature the Poisson de Genève, and this is true. However, the finishing is to a high standard. The rotor is beautifully skeletonized. The movement features elegant Côte de Genève texturing with a nice evenly turned perlage on the base plate as well as polished screw heads, all executed to a high standard, but here's the payoff. You get irreproachable pedigree and provenance, one might even say, given the mark patrimony, at a very appealing price starting at $11,700 US. So Vacheron Constantin ownership with a warranty has never been more approachable or more appealing. This is the 56 automatic with date at Vacheron Constantin 2018. Well, we're playing for the home team today. Vacheron Constantin, a staple of Genevois watchmaking since 1755, now with a new collection, appropriately enough, referencing its history. This is the 56 collection, inspired by the reference 6073 of 1956. You can see the inspiration most distinctly in the head-on profile with the peaks of the case at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. The rest of the case is a sensuous compound curve assortment designed to recapitulate in abstract the Vacheron Constantin Maltese cross motif that is the logo of the manufacturer. Now the dial is richly appointed. You can see a sunburst hour track with applied rose gold indices and numerals, matching rose gold style hands at center, luminescent, so it is a practical timepiece designed to be your everyday watch. The dated complication is practical, and with a 48-hour Powell reserve, so too is the Reserve de Marche at 6 o'clock. Now the watch is 40 millimeters, like all members of the new 56 collection, available in rose gold or in steel in 40 millimeters, all quite slim. The middle watch of the collection, this example is finished to Geneva Hallmark standards, and you can see the handsome skeletonized Maltese cross motif winding mass on the reverse side. Beautifully executed inside and out. All rose gold versions, I should clarify, come with a rose gold Maltese cross pin buckle, and all stainless steel versions come with a full deployant clasp and matching steel. You can see this and full coverage of Vacheron Constantin on our website, on YouTube. Remember, stick with Watchbox Studios for the latest of SIHH.